and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button. Let's check that everything's running smoothly. Yesterday we did have some technical difficulties, so we had to do a pre-recorded video yesterday, but it looks like everything's running correctly today, so we can get started on today's stream. Let's see what's going on here. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. Let's see what's happening here. Henan said, meanwhile, where is our weekly giveaway for this week? We have an exciting giveaway coming up with Crypto Saving Expert this week, so keep a close eye out on that. We will be talking about that in tomorrow's stream. Let's see what else is in store for the day though and see what's happening. Please let me know if today's stream is running smoothly. Let me know if there are any issues. Let's take a look at what's going on in the cryptocurrency markets here today. So we have Bitcoin sat at $30,400 and Ethereum sat at 1,854. So they're both pretty stable right now. Within the last 24 hours, we haven't seen much movement here. Let's take a look at what's going on in the cryptocurrency news though, because we have a lot of news to discuss today. It's very, very interesting what's going on in the markets right now. So let me know if everything's running smoothly as it should be. Hopefully we've got over those issues from yesterday. Let's see what's happening in here. So we have Microstrategy goes bullish on Bitcoin and buys another 12,333 Bitcoin worth $350 million. Now, I have calculated this morning that Microstrategy hold around 1 in every 127 Bitcoin. Now, that is a huge amount of Bitcoin held. Before this purchase, I think it was around 1 in every 146. To see them purchase even more Bitcoin is absolutely astonishing. I have read reports in the last couple of days, which may intrigue you as to why we've put this title on today's video, that typically every time MicroStrategy announce they are buying Bitcoin, there's an average drop of 2% in the price of Bitcoin on the date of that news release. So really interesting news there. We've also seen within the last couple of months that MicroStrategy have been issuing new shares. So essentially, they've been making new stocks, diluting their the supply of the shares, and then using the funds raised from the sale of those shares to buy more Bitcoin. Now, when we look at someone like Michael Saylor, and he is incredibly bullish on Bitcoin, a Bitcoin maximalist, and sees the future of Bitcoin being really, really bright, you can see why he's chosen to make this decision. And MicroStrategy have chosen to make this decision because they're diluting something that is fiat denominated and moving those funds that they've just created into Bitcoin. So they've really managed to take advantage of that opportunity and the different ways you can create money in the traditional financial system to acquire more Bitcoin. We all know they are super bullish on Bitcoin within the next couple of years. So this is something that we can expect to see again, I would say. If we're taking a look at this article right here, the last purchase brings the company's total Bitcoin holding to 152,000 Bitcoin, valued at just over $4.5 billion. Now, there's been a lot of speculation over whether MicroStrategy can survive during the previous bear market. I mean, remember last October, November, there was a lot of fears that MicroStrategy were going to get liquidated, and people were spreading so much FUD about the company because they acquired so much Bitcoin through the previous bull market. But now that we've seen that they are continuing to buy throughout this bear market, I think it has given some people some confidence in the company. However, there is one thing that I would like to point out which could signal that there could be more competition for MicroStrategy. Traditional investors that want to get involved in the cryptocurrency space often invest in cryptocurrency related stocks. So this could be MicroStrategy, this could be mining companies. And when Bitcoin's price fluctuates, these Bitcoin and cryptocurrency related companies typically fluctuate with it. So when Bitcoin is soaring, MicroStrategy will probably see a nice move to the upside, and popular mining companies will see the same. And when Bitcoin is dumping, MicroStrategy will typically see a move to the downside, and mining companies will see the same. So people use MicroStrategy as a way to get exposure to the cryptocurrency industry. But the question is, with BlackRock applying for spot Bitcoin ETFs, with Fidelity Fidelity applying for spot Bitcoin ETFs, and other platforms or funds becoming available for traditional investors to get exposure to the cryptocurrency industry, is it going to increase the amount of competition for companies like Microstrategy, and will their stock price be affected by this? Because people can have more direct ways to get exposure to the cryptocurrency industry through spot Bitcoin ETFs rather than through the Microstrategy stock themselves. Let's take a look at what's happening in the chat here. We've got a question. Jess, I'm a bit concerned with this Microstrategy Bitcoin holding. It's too much. What happens if they choose to dump the whole of their holding? After all, no one can tell them what to do with their Bitcoin holding. It's their investment and they have the right to sell at any time. I mean, Microstrategy will probably realize that they can't sell all of their Bitcoin all at once. If they look to sell their Bitcoin, they probably would significantly dump the price of this. This is a concern a lot of people have. We don't want one person owning so much Bitcoin. As I've just said in this calculation here, we have 1 in 127 tokens currently in circulation are held by MicroStrategy. Obviously, that's not something we all want to see. We're looking for decentralization. We're looking for this to be spread out as much as possible, but we are going to get big buyers in the game, and we have other big buyers as well behind closed doors. MicroStrategy aren't the only company buying huge amounts of Bitcoin right now, and when we've been fighting for institutions to get into the space and corporations to get involved in the space, this is what we expect to see. I mean, even the US government hold a huge amount of Bitcoin. They hold MicroStrategy hold around 152,000 Bitcoin, and the US government hold around 200,000 Bitcoin, so even more than MicroStrategy. Bruce says Saylor has said they will never sell, and I would like to think so, but you can never say never on something like this. We do need to be aware of that scenario. If something goes astronomically wrong, they may change their decisions, but so far I think they are the most bullish person on Bitcoin, company on Bitcoin that we could see there, other than Crypto Saving Expert are pretty bullish. Let's take a look at what else is going on in today's news. Please don't forget, before we continue with today's stream, to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification button. I am seeing on my side that the stream status is poor, but if it's working okay for you guys on your end, that's the most important thing. Let me know if there are any issues today. Let's check what's going on in the chat. If you are streaming in on Twitter, please don't forget to come over to the YouTube channel at Crypto Saving Experts. Give us a like, give us a follow, and help us grow the channel as much as possible. We are trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we need your help to do so. Just engage with our content as much as possible, and we would very much appreciate it. Let's see what else is going on in the news today. So we need to talk about FTX. I mean, we've got really exciting news articles today. We've obviously had the MicroStrategy one. We now need to talk about FTX, and we've got TUSD as well, and then we've got a whole bunch of cryptocurrency news. So it's non-stop today on the stream. Let's see what's going on here. Let's get on to cryptocurrency news. We have FTX debtors recoup $7 billion in liquid assets and seek $1.7 billion in additional recoveries. Now, we have spoke about this on the channel before. In fact, I would say this channel is probably the first place where you ever got questioned as to whether FTX was going to relaunch as an exchange. Now, this is a really interesting one. So when FTX first started to see some problems, we had that Martini guy here on the channel, and he was discussing about how he expects FTX to relaunch. And at the time, everybody was saying, no, it's over, it's over. But as time has gone on, this has become more and more of a likely scenario. And it's just unraveled in this way where they've got all of these liquid assets, they've got a new CEO, they've got a new team, they've got all of that groundwork and all of that infrastructure. So what would actually be the problem if they relaunched as a cryptocurrency exchange? Now, following this news of them getting liquid assets, we are seeing here that FTX is negotiating with investors to restart the cryptocurrency exchange. So that speculation that we had here on the channel back in November, December last year, when everybody was against the idea, is seeming to come true. So what we're seeing here is that the company has started soliciting investors' interest interested in restarting the cryptocurrency exchange. Now, as I've just said, We have a new CEO, we have a new team, we have the infrastructure, we have the liquidity. Everything there is to launch is there already to launch a successful cryptocurrency exchange. The only issues they really have is their reputation. So what's to say they can't just have a rebrand, focus their efforts on newcomers into the space? I mean, the question is, will they get the users they need and get the trading volume they need? Because exchanges make their money off the trading fees from that high trading volume. So they do need trading volumes. Now, I definitely would say a rebrand is necessary. I think a lot of people I've spoken to since last November, even people that don't know anything about the cryptocurrency space, have mentioned to me, what's this thing with FTX, and like trying to work out what it is, thinking it's like a cryptocurrency or something. Lots of different opinions coming in, but everybody not even within the cryptocurrency space has heard of what's gone on here, because it was such a big story and it was in the mainstream media. So I do think they would need to have a name change in order for this to be a successful exchange. But as I said, I wouldn't rule out the question, and it's becoming more and more likely. And we can see here, FTX will likely undergo a rebrand. They have, as I've just said, recovered $7 billion in liquid assets. So what's to say that that isn't going to be a successful relaunch? So let me know in the comments what you think, whether you think this will be a success. It'll be very interesting to know if you would use the exchange. Let's see what's going on in the next piece of news here. So TrueUSD depegs to 80 cents amid raging concerns on its backing. So stablecoin project TUSD has depegged from a dollar value again as criticism around its reserve continues to worsen. Now, obviously, we had problems with stablecoins at the start of this year. We saw USDC depeg following problems with the bank in which it held its reserves. And this really highlighted an issue for stablecoins and the cryptocurrency market, because although we have these cryptocurrencies that help facilitate transactions and make the cryptocurrency space what it is, we do have problems when we're storing its reserves in traditional financial systems. We're still relying on those systems. So we can see here TUSD has had a similar problem here. And we also have some concerns over its auditor and its reserves. So first of all, let's take a look at what's happening here. So TUSD has repeatedly depegged and managed to regain parity in the past, but this time TUSD's custodial partner Prime Trust on Tuesday was placed into receivership by Nevada's Financial Institution Division due to the dire financial conditions of the company. So the regulator had issued a cease and desist order to the company, citing a shortfall of customer funds. So in the receivership filing, the FID alleged Prime Trust lost access to its wallets in 2021 and used customer assets to buy back cryptocurrency. Now, if they are, let's take a look at this. The stablecoin issuer has since denied any exposure to Prime Trust, adding that it maintains multiple USD rails for minting and redemption. However, many critics, including Adam Cochran and some others, doubt this claim. So what we're seeing here is the fear surrounding how the stablecoin holds its reserves, causing so much selling pressure that it has unfortunately lost its peg there. Now, we have seen a tweet here as well, which is really interesting, something I did see on Twitter just a couple of days ago, yesterday now. So the auditor who has been attesting to TUSD audits was the old FTX auditor who set up under a new name after the FTX scandal. So is this a trustworthy guy? These guys literally audited the biggest grift in history and just renamed themselves and now are auditing TUSD. So it's not a good look for TUSD at all. We have unfortunately seen it depeg. It did drop all the way down to 80 cents. We can take a look on the Crypto Saving Expert website at where it is now. So we can just search in that tab there, if we press coins, we can see TUSD looks like it has regained that peg for the time being. Let's get TUSD, TrueUSD here. If we scroll down here, you can see there's been a lot of fluctuations here. If we go into the 1 hour time frame, we can really see this on a bigger scale. So let's zoom this out here. A very big fluctuations there with the price of this stable coin. Not exactly what they wanted to see. We probably will see a lot more outflows of this coin in the short term there, as well as these fears continue to circulate, but we will be keeping a close eye on this. Let's take a look at the next article here. Also, please don't forget, if you are new here, to like, subscribe and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. I think what's happening here is because YouTube thinks the stream is jumping and it doesn't have good quality, it's not showing it to as many people as it normally does. So if you wouldn't mind engaging with the video as much as possible, that will help us in the algorithm a little bit more. Let's check what's going on the next piece of news, though. We have some more interesting news here. We have Arbitrum's Chibi Finance sons with $1 million in alleged rug pull scam. So if you are interested in this article, I will drop the link to that in the YouTube live stream. If you are watching over on Twitter, make sure to come over to YouTube and give us a follow. Let's check the next one. Mythical Games raises $37 million in a Series C1 funding round. We are seeing huge valuations in the cryptocurrency space at the moment and throughout the last couple of months, and I'm expecting them to get even crazier as the bull market continues, because everybody wants a piece of the pie when the prices are up. Let's see what else is going on here. So Sony boosts Web3 development with $3.5 million investment. So Sony Network Communications, the internet services arm of the tech giant, has strengthened its partnership with the Singapore-based Web3 company Startail Labs with $3.5 million in funding. So we can see, as time goes on, big institutions, big companies want a piece of the pie, want a piece of the Web3 pie, and this is what we've been saying for ages. What's happening here is people in the cryptocurrency space have been pushing for people in the traditional spaces to learn about blockchain technology and understand its advantages. And it just seems like our information has been falling on deaf ears until the last couple of weeks, where things start to have really turned around, and it has turned out that they have actually been researching these kind of things behind closed doors. Let's take a look at the next one here. So Israel confiscates $1.7 million in crypto linked to Iran's Quds Force. So the Israeli government developed new tools to intercept and seize crypto used in financing terrorism. So the government has intercepted the crypto funding stream. The operation, aided by chain analysis tools, led to the seizure of $1.7 million in crypto from 40 addresses linked to the organizations, in which an infrastructure led by them and that transferred millions of dollars to be used by terror elements was thwarted. So that's a really important article that I will also drop the link to that in today's stream. We will continue with the next piece of news because we have a lot to discuss today, and I want to get onto the price of Bitcoin because Bitcoin is looking pretty interesting right now. Taking a look at what is happening in the chat here on YouTube, Henan says, I don't trust all of these stable coins. I can hold any stable coin other than USDT and BUSD. As for FTX, Jess, I wasn't using the old one, so I'm not going to use the new one either. Yeah, I mean, I think I had an account on FTX. I didn't really use it that much, though. I didn't have any funds in it at the time, thankfully. So I'm kind of in the same boat. I wouldn't jump into it now. It's not the only exchange that's available, so why would I use that? There's other exchanges out there that I have a lot more trust in that have tried to create transparency and provide audits thoroughly every single month since the FTX collapse. We can see here, talking about exchanges actually, who heard yesterday that KuCoin is requiring KYC of all its customers? That is new news there yesterday, and that's shocked a lot of people in the space. A lot of people were big fans of KuCoin. And I expect we will probably see that continue and spread across the cryptocurrency industry. What's happening right now is cryptocurrency regulators are trying to treat cryptocurrency companies like traditional financial companies. And we've seen that clearly when they've sued Binance and when they've sued Coinbase. So these companies are trying to now act like traditional financial companies so that they don't get sued as well. But with that comes a lot of problems, because although the regulators might like to see them thoroughly enforcing KYC and AML protocols, people within the space do not like that. A, because they don't have their transparency, and B, because we don't know if they have the infrastructure behind closed doors once we pass that information on. Once we provide our personal information, how do we know they're storing it correctly? They don't have that infrastructure that's been built up in the traditional financial system yet. So that's another question that's raising concerns here, with the regulators trying to treat them as if they are traditional financial companies, and with people within the space not wanting to give them the same authority, essentially. So it's a really interesting debate that. Let me know if you are moving off KuCoin following this news, and let me know in the chat what your favorite exchange is if you are looking elsewhere. Let's continue with today's news and continue to the next article here. We have Horizon Community approves proposal to remove Zen's privacy features. So the Horizon Community has agreed to remove all the privacy features of Zen after continual concerns by global regulators about privacy coins being used by criminals. Multiple trading platforms have therefore delisted privacy coins. And this is something that we are being concerned about as well. This follows on pretty nicely from what I was just saying, with regulators wanting transparency in the industry. We are seeing platforms trying to abide by those rules, and removing privacy coins is one step that we could see that be continue. So I'll put the link to this in today's live chat, but let's continue with today's news and see what else is going on. I've got about 50 tabs open today, so I'm very all over the shop. Let's see what else is happening here. What is the difference between Web 2 and Web 3? Interesting conversations in this article, and obviously this is one of my favourite debates. I talk about this a lot. I like to talk about the transition of people from Web 2 and Web 3, how we can get more people into the space, how we can drive adoption, and how we can teach more people about blockchain technology. One of the great ways that I've contributed is I've helped create Crypto Saving Expert. So if you've not checked out the free cryptocurrency website, cryptosavingexpert.com, we have all of the cryptocurrency information you need, your one-stop shop to crypto. We have the latest cryptocurrency news, we have the latest cryptocurrency guides, software wallets, hardware wallets, centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, tax, VPNs, how to stay safe online. You can find information on all of those things in the guides section. We then have the courses where you can learn about cryptocurrency absolutely for free. We then have market data so you can track your favorite altcoins and cryptocurrencies, and we have the encyclopedia there as well. So if you've not checked out cryptosavingexpert.com, please make sure to go to the link, cryptosavingexpert.com. I will drop the link to this one in the chat today. Check it out. It's all completely free. Press that big blue sign up button and join 8,000 others in learning cryptocurrency during this time in the market where it's absolutely vital. I mean, for those of you that are tuning into these live streams every single day, I feel this is putting you way ahead of the rest of the cryptocurrency, of other people trying to get into the space. A lot of people try and get into cryptocurrency by doing little bits of research, trying to understand it. But if you have a structured learning plan, like through the courses of cryptosavingexpert.com, and you stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency news either by following us on Instagram at cryptosavingexpert, on TikTok, or tuning into these live streams every single day, it really helps you build on your knowledge at a much faster pace. I remember when I first got into cryptocurrency and I literally felt like I was so out of my depth. I was trying to learn about the different concepts, but there's so much news out there. We've gone from, like, in the olden days where that we didn't have all of the internet and things, trying to find all of this different information, to being in this scenario right now where there's so much information out there, it's hard to focus and decide what you're going to learn and build your knowledge on. So having a structured learning plan is something that I think is really, really important. And that's why we've created courses within Crypto Saving Expert. So make sure to check them out. The point how I've got onto this point is we have a course on Web 2 and Web 3, the differences between the two, and how we can help bridge more people into Web 3 and educate people about cryptocurrency. So make sure to check that out in the Crypto 101 section if you have not already. Hennant says Qcoin coming up with mandatory KYC before trading is a welcome development. Qcoin was actually my first exchange because I had issues obtaining my papers but I wasn't that comfortable using an exchange that allows transactions without completing the KYC verification. So that's like the opposite side of the spectrum. That's the fair, like, a lot of people in cryptocurrency are very against KYC. They don't want to get involved in that. But you're looking at this from the other perspective, saying, look, if they're cooperating with regulators on this, hopefully they're cooperating with regulators on everything else, and everything is running as it should. Interesting angle there. Let's continue with the next article though and see what else is going on in the markets. So Fed chairman signals more interest rate hikes amid a strong labour market. Now obviously we all know here interest rate hikes are typically bad for the stock markets, for the cryptocurrency markets. What happens here is we have seen an inflation inflation rise to 9.1% in June 2022 year on year in the US, and the US government want to get that down to just 2%. Now, we have seen interest rates rise in order to reduce that rate of inflation, and inflation has now got down to 4%, which is an improvement from that 9.1%, obviously, but there's still a long way to go to get that down to 2%. So what happens is, inflation is the growing economy. Everything's going up in price. There's higher demand. There's lower supply. Either of those things can cause higher inflation. And then to stop inflation rising, we have interest rates. When interest rates rise, it means we have to pay more interest on all of our loans. Businesses have to pay more interest on their loans. So people are taking out less loans. People have less liquid cash. People are spending less money. That causes the economy to shrink slightly and inflation to decline. So we do have to try and find that balance through interest rates to try and reduce inflation. But obviously, interest rates have been soaring within the last year, and we have seen this decline, but it looks like we're not at the end of that climb yet. We did hear in a statement last month from the Fed chairman saying he's expecting us to reach an inflation rate of around 2.5% by December 2024. So that shows how long this is going to really take for us to have that 2% inflation target being met. Now, we did hear in that discussion last month that we are expecting to see 2 more interest rate hikes this year, and having a pause on the interest rate hikes last month did not mean that this was the end. So we are all still prepared for that when interest rates are increased, though. The cryptocurrency markets and the stock markets don't like it, because when people have less liquid cash, they're moving away from risk on assets. There's 2 debates to be had here, though, because at the same time as all of those issues, when inflation rises, people want to get out of risky assets, but they also understand how important having an asset like Bitcoin that has a limited supply of 21 million tokens. So there's 2 debates to be had there. Let's continue with this article, though. So the probability of a July interest rate hike jumped to 81% since Powell made his statement. So he said at a European Central Bank conference on Wednesday that more restrictions are coming, even though the central bankers had voted to pause rate hikes this month. So Powell signaled 2 more interest rate hikes this year, citing a very strong labour market. So he said, if you look at the data over the last quarter, what you see is stronger than expected growth, a tighter than expected labour market, and higher than expected inflation. That tells us that although the policy is restrictive, it may not be restrictive enough, and it has not been restrictive for long enough. The Fed has engaged in aggressive interest rate hikes for over a year to bring down inflation to 2%. Though Powell has always discussed a continued rate hike stance until the desired inflation level, the Fed eventually decided to leave the rate unchanged during the June meeting. So how will Bitcoin react to this news? So what we have here, so the probabilities of seeing interest rate hikes on the 26th of July this year has risen to 81%. When something like this happens, and we're looking at this way ahead of time, a month ahead of time, this will probably be priced in by the time we reach that date. So by the time an interest rate hike actually does arrive, it will probably already be priced into the markets, to be honest. But we will keep you up to date with that. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. And we will probably go live on that interest rate announcement, on the announcement from the Fed chairman, and on any other inflation rate announcements as well. We tend to do live streams over those meetings so we can see the volatility in Bitcoin. So entertaining streams there. Make sure to stay tuned for those. Let's see what's going on here. New article from crypto saving expert just dropped. President Biden targets crypto traders in battle against unfair tax system. We'll take a look at that article right now. In fact, let's pull that up. New article coming in from the crypto saving expert Telegram channel. If you are not already in that, make sure to go and check it out. It pings you all of the news articles as they are launched onto the website so you don't miss anything. Let's take a look here. So President Biden targets crypto traders in battle against unfair tax system. This was literally published 4 minutes ago. Biden previously said crypto tax loopholes cost the government around $18 billion. He got a lot of backlash for that comment, as I remember, and Biden has said now that there are 1,000 billionaires in America who only pay an average of 8% of taxes due to loopholes created by the trickle-down policies implemented by the past administration. So Biden planned a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining, but not long after, the tax proposal drew criticism from industry participants, including the Democratic presidential candidate Kennedy, who called it a bad idea. Now, we've heard him say cryptocurrencies led by Bitcoin, along with other crypto technologies, are a major innovation engine. It is a mistake for the US government to hobble the industry and drive innovation elsewhere. Biden proposed 30% tax on cryptocurrency mining is a bad idea. Now, in the US, we already have regulators stifling growth in the region, essentially pushing cryptocurrency exchanges out of the region. So heavy tax is just going to continue to do that. The more the US push against crypto, the more people are just going to throw their hands up in the air and say, do you know what, we're leaving and we're going elsewhere. And when they do so, they will continue to drive growth elsewhere, and the US will then, in a couple of years' time, be scrambling to catch up with the wave of innovation seen in other regions, specifically in Asia and Hong Kong. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So Tether to help develop blockchain Bitcoin and peer-to-peer infrastructure in Georgia. Tether, which is the issuer of USDT, has signed a MOU with the government of Georgia to help develop the country as a leader of blockchain, Bitcoin, and peer-to-peer payment systems. So let's see what's going on here. Tether, the parent company of USDT, has partnered with the Georgian government, and this collaboration not only marks a significant milestone for Tether, but also reinforces its position as a pioneering infrastructure partner for cities and nations globally. So if you are interested in that article, I will again drop the links there in today's in today's live chat. But let's continue with the news. We have 3 more articles left. We have some interesting ones here as well, so make sure to stay tuned. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. YouTube is punishing us today because it thinks the stream quality isn't very good, but it looks like it's all fine on my end, and you guys keep reporting to me that it's all good. So YouTube are just not liking us today, so please make sure to help us in the algorithm as much as possible. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Let's continue with this article here. We have an opinion piece from somebody at Crypto Saving Expert, from our writer John, who has said BlackRock's Spot Bitcoin ETF is an institutional coup on the crypto industry. So as exciting as Spot Bitcoin ETF managed by BlackRock might be, it could mark the beginning of the end of a retail investor-controlled crypto market. Satoshi Nakamoto's initial vision of a financial system different from Wall Street and traditional banking could slowly erode. So this is the negative impacts we could see from the Spot Bitcoin ETF. And I think this is something really important to talk about. I mean, I personally have been getting very excited about what's happening with BlackRock, the potential for the cryptocurrency industry following this. An ETF can cause a massive wave in adoption. We also know that BlackRock need to acquire enough Bitcoin for their ETF, whether that be over the counter or not. It would still cause some buying pressure in the markets in the long term. Some people are looking at this and saying this is not what the cryptocurrency industry needs. So let's take a look at the other perspective there and see what this is saying. So most individuals are in the crypto industry to make profits, whether that be standalone, alongside believing in the technology, or a standalone motivation. The allure of 10 or even 20x gains is so tempting that ideologies such as staying true to Satoshi Nakamoto's vision of a decentralized and peer-to-peer form of money through Bitcoin can be thrown out the window. The prospects of institutions from traditional finances accessing Bitcoin via an ETF have brought back the greed preached by Gordon Gekko in the 1987 classic Wall Street. So BlackRock's Spot Bitcoin ETF will bring institution and the money. So it's unsurprising why Bitcoin has pumped off the back of this news. We obviously have not yet had the BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF be accepted, but we've seen many other institutions begin filing for Spot Bitcoin ETFs as well, off the rumors that Fidelity Investments will also submit its Spot Bitcoin ETF application to the SEC this week. But what are the negative impacts this could have on the industry? So we are going to see a positive. First of all, BlackRock and other institutions will start accumulating Bitcoin. As I said, probably over the counter, probably no immediate buying pressure on the open markets, but overall it will create some buying pressure in the markets in the long term. But a Bitcoin ETF will be the official beginning of an institutional coup on the industry. So it is worth remembering that Satoshi created and launched Bitcoin during the 2008 financial crisis. They hoped Bitcoin would provide an alternative to the traditional system through increased transparency, security, trust, decentralization, and much more. Big money from institutional investors also brings all the behaviors of traditional finance that Satoshi Nakamoto was against. They include and are not limited to market manipulation, corruption, systematic risk, bailouts, and repetitive financial crisis of their own doing. So institutions could eventually alter the Bitcoin network. So if we take a look at this, they could have a significant say on the future of the Bitcoin network through funding various development initiatives, such as transitioning it to a proof-of-stake algorithm and increasing its hard cap beyond 21 million to be more like gold. As radical and impossible as such eventualities seem, these institutions can simply fork Bitcoin and decide to recognize it as the new eco-friendly version. They could also add the popular logic that they are saving the environment, thus pleasing politicians who view Bitcoin as an inefficient and unnecessary use of electrical energy. Now, I would like to add to the point back of that, if they were to fork Bitcoin, we all know how that works. We've seen this previously. We can all continue holding our Bitcoin. They can mint new tokens. They can get airdrop us tokens as much as they wish. But we all know that why people are in the cryptocurrency industry, why people are big fans of Bitcoin, and a hard fork probably is not going to cut it for a lot of us within the industry. So I don't think that's too much of a concern there. But let's take a look at what else is going on in the markets here. We have two last articles today, and then we are taking a look at the price of Bitcoin, analysing that chart there and seeing what is going on. So the US court orders stockbroker to pay $50 million for engaging in crypto fraud. So a stockbroker defrauded over 150 investors of at least $30 million through his illegal crypto scheme. If you are interested in this article, make sure to head over to cryptosavingexpert.com. I will also drop the link to that in today's stream. Let's take a look at the last article here and see what's going on. So Bitcoin bulls hold $30,000 as support. So what is next for Bitcoin? Let's take a look at the charts right now and see what is going on here. Let's zoom out to the daily chart and look at this. Now we have, obviously, I've been saying here on the channel every single day now, if we take a look at these levels here, we have a level of support down at 25,150. We have a level of resistance at 32,550. They're the levels I'm looking at in the longer term. We can even pull this back to here. But in the shorter term, I'm looking at what happened back here before we had that descending wedge. Now, if we pull this out, you can see we definitely had a level of resistance at around that $30,500 level and at around that $31,000 level, and that has been acting as a level of resistance again. Now we have come back up and retested that point. So what I'm waiting to see here is a daily candle close above that level of resistance at $31,000. Until we get that, I'm kind of holding back from this right now. If we continue to get rejected from this, we could see some more sideways action, but I'm waiting to see if we get a strong rejection or we're going to see that daily candle close above it. Right now it looks like we are tackling that as much as possible, and it may just be a couple more days before we do manage to see that daily candle close above it, but we need to stay calm on this and wait to see what news comes out this week and what else we have in store. So if you want to stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrency news, obviously don't forget to give us a like and a follow here on the channel. Drop a comment as well to help us in the algorithm. The last thing I want to point out today on the stream is the MACD on the monthly chart. You can see here, it looks like it could be ticking bullish any month now. We are 1 day and 13 hours away from ticking into July. At that point in time, we could start growing a nice green candle down there on the MACD. And if we do so, then we could be in for a treat, because typically when we look at the historic data here, every time we've seen the MACD tick bullish on the monthly chart, it has indicated that the bottom is in for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin rally has really began. So I'm very excited to see that news, and hopefully we will see that within the next couple of months. But I'm keeping a close eye on that, so make sure you do too, and make sure to tune into these live streams every single day. That is all we have for today. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all back here tomorrow. So goodbye.